of the Qdup Productions. Again, we are still staying with the series of making music faster in Reason 10. My tip for today is using the Combinator. What we're going to do is, honestly, haven't done this before with the third-party plugins. So we're going to roll with that today. So what I did is I just created a mix channel by itself and just made three separate instances of Massive. And we're going to, go ahead and just connect those up. For those of you who have never tried to do anything like this before, it's really simple. All we do is just highlight all three that we want to combine. And you go ahead and click combine. Now, once you get that, you still have to turn this over and have it routed to a mix channel. As you can see, it's coming from this one right here. So we're just going to go out from the device, or I'm sorry, from the combinator. We're just going into that input. So everything that we do, this is what's going to make sure that our complete output is coming out from that. So we have to daisy chain it. So what we're going to do is, with wiring this up, so we're going to make us a small mixer. That's going to help us have all of the instruments that we have inside of the combinator. That's what's going to actually group that signal together, and it's going to come out of this one instance here. So we're just going to come here, and I don't know if you know, if you hold down Shift and go ahead and choose your line mixer, then if you do that with any instrument or any component that you don't want to connect, you want to do your own routing through it, you just hold down Shift and it'll bring it up and bring it up empty. So we already know our outputs are going to go from this mixer. It's going to come in here. That's why this says from devices. And then all you do is you take and plug these in like this. And as you can see, you can do 6 of these if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you. And I am not going to hit a key on this yet because it will be very loud. So I'm going to turn this down just a hair. And we are going to see where we have our levels at. Okay, so that's not too loud. We'll turn it down just a little bit more. Okay, so the way I would approach this is I would go ahead and turn these down, and then pick your sounds from there. And we could do something random. Matter of fact, let's do that. We'll just go ahead and pick something random. So we'll come over here, we'll open the first instance, and we'll just flick the mouse a little bit and just pick something there. And of course, I have no idea what instrument we're picking. Let's do the same thing with that. We'll pick that one. And same thing here. 1991. It's a little bit too basic. Let's scroll down and we'll go with that. Okay, so before you blast out your earlobes, you want to see exactly what you have to work with. Okay, so that's our first sound. Okay, so let's see. Turn up just a little bit. Okay, so now let's see what we can do with these other instruments. Let's just bring them in a little slower. We'll see what we get. Okay, so turn on. Okay, so that's just a percussive instrument. Interesting. So let's see. Okay, so now let's see what this last one is. Okay, so this opens up some options for us, some things that we can do. The first thing that you can do when you're building an instrument in a combinator is you can show the programmer. So if we show the programmer, we can actually go in and change these buttons and these knobs and have them do different things. So let's say for this first one, let's see what we could change in here. So let's say if we wanted to change, we'll say the filter cutoff of 1. Let's see if it'll actually show that. Group mod wheel, oscillator pitch. Okay, so let's see. Let's try, let me see, group 1. Okay, so it looks like it just breaks down each piece into a filter. So let's go to the filter cutoff, and we want that to be on rotary 1. So we can write filter cutoff 1. So let's see. Let's test it. We'll mute these two and see what that knob does for us. Okay, it does as advertised. And I know these steps seem pretty long, and you know the name of this is supposed to be to make music faster, but the whole point of this is if you go through, build you some instruments, make some interesting combinations, then you can always come back and, you know, save this as a preset and bring it up later. I'm just kind of expounding a little bit just to kind of show you some of the things that you could get away with in doing this. But of course, setting up the buttons and, you know, the knobs and things like that, that can get pretty tedious. So let's just say we wanted to keep it like it was. Sounds kind of harsh, but you know, we could roll with that. Let me see, let's turn these back up. Now, of course, because we have leads and some percussive instruments in there, then that kind of limits your ability to be able to play chords. So, I mean, you would just kind of name this instrument something that that wouldn't be, you know, the same as having like a pad or an instrument or something like that. So basically, at that point, we could save this. You know, we could just save this as a patch, and we will call it Combi Practice. And so you see it changed my name right there. And then you can go in after that and do some other things. Reason is probably one of the most awesome DAWs to just go in and stack sounds and stack effects on top of each other because it's all in a rack format. And, you know, excuse me, you get done and, you know, you fold it back up and everything is nice and neat and compact. You can have everything closed and, you know, just call it back up and get straight back to work. That's one of the things that I do love about it. But, you know, we could add some effects in here if we wanted to do that. You know, whatever it is that you like to do. But the point of the video is basically to show you that if you put a little bit more work in the beginning and, you know, spruce up your instruments, make some different type of instruments, some things that are going to give you some options. If you put 3 or 4 different plugins or instruments inside of your combinator, you may only want to use one of those sounds. Well, at least you have 3 sounds to choose from right off the bat. That's a little bit less looking around. So let's say if you wanted to be, you know, have a little bit preemptive and said, okay, I want to put a lead, a pad, and a bass sound all in one combinator. Then you could do that and then come in if you want to get something. You say, hey, I just need a quick pad just to kind of get my idea out of my head. Then you can come in, mute the other two, and just play that. And then if you got what you want, delete the other two out of the combinator, and you should be fine. But Reason 10 is a great DAW for DSP. I see they have a DSP meter actually on the face of it now. They didn't have it in the version that I had, but I mean, it's held up pretty well. I really put it through its paces, and it's held up great. So again, that's my tip. Use those combinators. Come up with all kind of crazy hookups and stacks, and just save those things. That way you can always go back to them and call them up, and make a couple tweaks and things like that. Just remember that when you go in and you start creating, not just in Reason, but also in Logic, Reaper, FL Studio, Pro Tools, whichever flavor you care for, just go in, twist those knobs, move some sliders, try some different things. Don't feel bound by the presets that come with it. There's always more you can get out of it. Just use your creativity. Let it go wherever it takes you. You never know what you might come up. You could come up with a hit. You never know it. So thanks for hanging out with me again today. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. I hope someone learned something from it. And most of all, stay queued up. Peace.